Welcome to the Sparks and Space podcast. I'm your host, Ailish Lucas, and each week I'll be bringing sparks of inspiration to ignite into your business and the space to remind you who you truly are. I'm so excited that you're here. So let's dive in. Hello, my love. I hope you are feeling fantastic today. And if you have clicked on this episode, then I'm guessing you are joy curious and maybe wanting to feel a little bit better about your business, whatever stage you might be in. We've all been there where we feel burnt out, frustrated, completely overwhelmed, and in need of a little guidance. So I really hope this episode can guide you more towards joy and feeling a little happier again about where you are and where you're going. Now, that word, joy, is not really cool, is it? Joy is happy, fun, enthusiastic, and it's not in any way, shape, or form nonchalant, ambivalent, cool, or calm. But when we think about our life, isn't joy a much better feeling than ambivalence and cool and always looking on the negative side of things and being realistic? It's the same with business. Being excited about your business in hopeful anticipation of what's to come and feeling joy around something we have chosen to do should just come naturally, shouldn't it? I'm sure some of you will relate. If you have started a business or you are partway through, at the beginning, I'm sure it did feel joyous. And you're at the bottom of this huge mountain that you have to climb, and it feels really exciting, if a little overwhelming occasionally. But when the initial excitement wears off, then the joy starts to wane. And then that's when the shiny sparkliness of the mountain that you're climbing starts to wear off. And then you're left on this juggle train, feeling overwhelmed and wondering how everyone else is doing it on social media with their seemingly overnight successes. Or if you've been in business like me for a little while now, maybe you've lost your way, or you feel like you've climbed the wrong staircase and realized that what you really wanted to do was a bit different. Or maybe you love what you do, but it's just feeling a little stale or a little blur and it's lost its spark. I wanted to address this so we can firstly acknowledge that it's okay not to feel joy all the time. We are human after all. And as the great Dolly Parton says, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain. Feeling all of the emotions is what's part of the journey of being human. There's no light without the darkness, but it's also something that we do have to pay attention to and check in with daily, because we can very easily go down a path of starting to feel compare and despair, starting to feel overwhelmed and frustrated, and we get caught up looking at what everybody else is doing, seeing all their achievements, because let's face it, we're not going to see any of their downsides or bad months that they have in business, because that's not the sexy side of running something, is it? And it's not Instagrammable. We only ever see the highlight reel, which makes it extremely hard sometimes to be able to keep joyous and love what we're doing and keep taking those steps forward and be really happy. And if we start to experience these emotions that are negative and they are repeated day in, day out, then these then become feelings, which then turn into identities and then inform the way we do business and life. So how can we feel good about business? Well, I've got a couple of exercises for you. The first one is, I'd love you to write down where you were 5 years ago from now and what has happened since, because I'm sure it's been absolutely amazing. Personally, I had just moved back from New Zealand, and from a relationship that didn't work out, I'd moved back in with my parents at the grand old age of 34 and had decided I was going to set up my first business. when I think of the adventure that then unfolded after that and the craziness of it all, including living in Portugal, winning awards, living by myself through a pandemic, growing my business, meeting my partner, getting burnout, coming through the other side, and becoming a stepmom, it's been quite the journey. And the reason I mention the personal things in here as well as business is because it's hard to separate the two. One very much affects the other. And I'm proud of the person I've become. She is no longer even remotely what she was last year or even last week. So I want you to go through and look at everything that's happened. I bet it's been a wild ride, and there's more adventure and joy and magic to come. So be your own cheerleader and feel so proud of yourself for everything you've achieved, and know you're daring greatly with how you're living life through the very nature of just setting up a business. So now let's look at some questions which you can write down, and everything will be in the show notes in case you're in the car or doing your washing or something like that. So the first step is awareness. What stories am I telling myself about who I am and my business? Now, whenever I speak to clients or even with myself, there has been so many variations, but the underlying themes are the same of I am not enough, I'm different in some way, or it's never going to happen for me. And they are three kind of universal themes that tend to come up whenever you speak to clients or whenever you speak to people round about their deepest fears. So if those are three universal themes, then what's a more empowering story that you can tell yourself that makes you feel good? Because we have to be our own best friends here, especially in business, and particularly if we are doing it by ourselves, because there's nobody else that you can speak to. There's nobody else that really gets it unless you've then got a cohort or a community of female entrepreneurs that you can then go and speak to, which is highly recommended because it's just amazing. But you have to be your own best friend and you have to be your own cheerleader, because you don't have anybody else there to be able to pick you up, which is why coaching is so amazing, because then you do have somebody as a cheerleader in your corner. But it can be really hard. So you do need to prime yourself every morning in a way that is empowering for you, and also to give yourself that self-compassion. There's an amazing lady called Kristin Neff. If you've ever heard of her, she focuses and researches and is an expert in self-compassion, and some of her meditations are absolutely amazing. So I'd highly recommend them. So the first step is awareness. What stories am I telling myself about who I am and my business? And what is a more empowering story that makes me feel good? The next question is, what do you want? Now, I think this is such a powerful question because we are brought up, particularly as women, to think about what everybody else wants and to wonder and anticipate their needs before they've even thought about them, so that then you can fulfill them, and then that's going to make you happy as well as them. But the reality is, for the most part, we end up getting burnt out from it. So what do you want? I really want you to think about that in all areas of your life and business. Because when we can shine a light on that, then it just creates so much space to open up to new possibilities, to discover new things about yourself, and to potentially try new things as well. So it's a really powerful question. What do you want? And then the next question after that is, why can't you have it? Now, there's two schools of thought on this. One side of your brain might go, well, you can't have it because of X, Y, Z, and go down the little route of like negative Nelly, talking about like all the reasons why you can't. But then equally, there might be some part of your brain that says, well, I can have it, so I'm actually going to go and get it. But what we want to do here is just challenge our brain a little bit, play a little bit of devil's advocate, so then we can call out all these limiting beliefs in our head so then we can move through them. And then the last question is, how can I believe that good things are coming when times are tricky? Because this last year has just been so insane. I was talking to a couple of friends and we were all kind of agreeing that we thought after the pandemic, this year would almost be like the roaring 20s. There was that going around for a little bit, how it was going to be amazing. And we just had one thing after another that feels like it's ground us down. So we just don't have any juice left in the tank. So how can you believe that good things are coming when times are tricky? So I ask you today to follow the joy and follow the bliss inside of you. And if you're struggling with feeling joy and you've lost your motivation, to watch the episode on when you've lost motivation in business and the joy of finding it again, as it has some amazing tips on how to start to build that back up. Remember that you've chosen to do this business. It's a magic adventure that pushes you to break through to levels of yourself that you previously could only ever dream about. But it is hard, and you have to commit to yourself and your dreams in a way that doesn't yet feel familiar. But keep showing up for yourself. Keep believing in that higher vision. Keep dreaming and putting one foot in joy and the other in motion so that magic can show up in the most amazing way. You are worthy of your dreams and desires. You've got this, and I've got you. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review because it would really help my podcast and I would be so grateful. And if you would like a weekly dose of joy in your inbox, be sure to subscribe to my email list at ailishlucas.com. That's AILISHLUCAS.com. Thanks so much for listening. Bye for now.